Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're diving into a topic that hits close to home for a lot of people: the men women later regret letting go. It's one thing to break up, but it's another to realize you let a great guy slip through your fingers. If you've ever wondered why some men leave a lasting mark on a woman's heart, you're going to want to stick around for this one. By the end of this video, you'll see just how valuable these types of men are. And if you're a guy, you might realize you're one of them. Let's get into it. Number 1. A man they started to take for granted. Sometimes when a man is reliable, present, and always there when needed, women can unintentionally start to take him for granted. I've seen this play out in my own life. When I was always available, always trying to make things better, my effort was eventually seen as a given. It's human nature to become comfortable, but when that comfort turns into neglect, that's when regret sets in. Women look back and realize they had a man who showed up consistently, who cared enough to always be there, but they didn't appreciate him until he was gone. Number 2. A man who was willing to put in the work to fix the relationship. Relationships are rarely smooth sailing, but finding someone willing to roll up their sleeves and do the hard work to fix things, that's rare. I remember a friend who was dedicated to making his relationship work. He went to therapy, communicated openly, and even compromised when it was tough for him. His girlfriend at the time wasn't ready to put in the same effort, thinking she could easily find someone else who would make it easier. Years later, she confided in me how much she regretted not fighting for a relationship with someone who was willing to do whatever it took to make things right. Number 3. A man who had made some mistakes, wasn't perfect, and they thought they could find perfection elsewhere. No one's perfect, but in the heat of a relationship, it's easy to magnify flaws. I've seen situations where a woman left a man because he had his share of mistakes. Nothing deal-breaking, but enough to create doubts. She thought there was something better out there, someone flawless. Over time, though, she realized that perfection doesn't exist, and that those little mistakes were part of what made him human, real, and ultimately lovable. Walking away from him in search of perfection only led to a harsh realization that no one else even came close. Number 4. A man who is more of an asset than a liability. The value of a man who brings stability, resources, and support to the table is often overlooked until he's no longer around. I remember dating someone who always helped out when I was in a tight spot, whether it was financially, emotionally, or just in life in general. At the time, I didn't see just how much of an asset he was because it felt normal. But after we broke up, I began to see the difference between him and others who didn't offer the same level of support. Women often realize too late that a man who adds value is far more important than they originally thought. Number 5. A man with integrity and character. It's easy to overlook character in favor of excitement, but integrity and character are what truly matter in the long run. I knew someone who always stood by his values, even when it was tough. He didn't cut corners, and he was honest, sometimes brutally so. At the time, it felt like he was being difficult or too rigid, but later, I came to realize that those qualities are rare. Women may not always see the value in a man with strong character until they've experienced what it's like to be with someone who doesn't have those same principles. Number 6. A man who is stable, protects, and provides, but wasn't exciting. Stability can sometimes be mistaken for boredom, especially in a world that celebrates adventure and spontaneity. I've seen women leave men who were reliable, secure, and always had their back, but they thought they were missing out on something more exciting. After the thrill of new experiences fades, though, they often realize how rare and valuable stability is. The man who created a safe, secure environment and consistently provided for her, he's the one she looks back on with regret. Number 7. A man they didn't know how to forgive in the moment. Forgiveness is hard, especially when emotions run high. I once witnessed a breakup where the woman just couldn't bring herself to forgive a man for a mistake, even though he was genuinely remorseful and did everything he could to make things right. Time passed, and she told me how much she regretted not letting go of her pride and giving him a second chance. In relationships, people make mistakes, and the ability to forgive is essential. Women often realize later that a man who seeks forgiveness is worth keeping, and by the time they figure that out, it's too late. Number 8. A man that truly held them accountable for their actions. It's easy to surround ourselves with people who never challenge us, but the man who holds you accountable, that's a rare find. I dated someone who wasn't afraid to call me out when I wasn't living up to my potential or when I was making poor choices. At the time, I thought he was being too harsh, but looking back, I realize how much I grew because of him. Women often regret leaving the man who helped them become better versions of themselves, the one who encouraged growth and held them accountable in ways no one else dared to. So there you have it. The men women later regret letting go. If any of these resonate with you, whether you're a guy who's been overlooked or someone who's let a great man go, it's never too late to reflect and grow. Relationships are about learning, and sometimes it takes losing someone to understand their true value. Well, there you have it. The men women later regret letting go. If you enjoyed this video, please like and comment your thoughts below. Watch the recommended video on the screen, and I'll see you in the next video.